Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, visit them at a Hamfest near you or call 920-435-2973 or online at pl-259.com.
It's Ham Radio with Neil Rapp. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for another episode of Ham Talk Live. It's number 103. An update on changes to Hamvention recorded live on Thursday, February 22nd, 2018. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Michael Kalter, W8CI, and we'll take your calls live in just a few minutes, as we usually do. And last week on the show, Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, was here to talk about recognizing young hams. And if you missed that show, you can listen anytime. Just go to hamtalklive.com, and you can play any of the old shows there. You can also catch us on your favorite podcasting app like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, or SoundCloud. We're also over on YouTube. You can subscribe to us at any of those and get the show every week. So, get your questions ready to go. We'll talk to Michael for a little bit, and then we will open up the phone lines, and I'll give you that number. It's not time to call yet, but I'll give you that number. It's 812-NET-HAM-1. That's 812-638-4261. You can also Skype us. We're Ham Talk Live on Skype. You can find us there. And you can also tweet us. We're at Ham Talk Live. And if you happen to have a Spreaker account, you can type a comment in there, and it'll pop up here on the screen. So we'd love for you to interact with us during the last segment of the show, but we'll let you know when it's time to do that. So I will be right back with Michael right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you in part by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the Ham's dime store since 1978. When you need connectors, mobile and handheld antennas, cables, or adapters, visit Scott or Jill at a Hamfest near you. Or you can order online at pl-259.com or call 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and N connectors, SMA adapters, audio cables, soldering supplies, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated N connectors are even used on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics carries MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro products. And don't miss their 0% off sale going on now. Tower Electronics, online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
Look for me at Dayton. I'll be the one wearing the Yesu hat. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Thanks to Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight to help bring you Ham Talk Live. Coming up this weekend, they'll be at Dalton, Florida on the 24th. That'll be Saturday. And then March 3rd, they're getting closer to here. They're getting up to Cave City, Kentucky. And then March 18th, they'll be in Toledo, Ohio. And they did mention online today, they have their Hamvention reservations done. So you can visit them at Hamvention as well. Or give them a call. It's 920-435-2973. Or online at pl-259.com. And tell them you heard it on Ham Talk Live. My guest tonight is Michael Kalter, W8CI. He is the official spokesperson for the Dayton Hamvention. And Mike resides in Xenia, Ohio, and is a past president of the Dayton Amateur Radio Association and a former Hamvention General Chairman. He's currently the treasurer and a board member of DARA and the finance chair for Hamvention. And he is an active musician, a Skywarn net control and HF operator, and has had the opportunity to travel quite a bit around the world, including Tunisia and the Peace Corps, and is a speaker about ham radio in Germany, Qatar, and India. So we've had Michael on several times talking about Hamvention. We're glad to have him back with us tonight. Good evening, Michael, and welcome back.
Hey, Neil. It's you've got a great show, and I like the way you run your show. You're doing a great thing for amateur radio, and it's always a pleasure to get to talk to you, especially about one of my favorite events, and that's the Hamvention. So thanks, and thanks for everybody who's out there tuned in. And if you do have a question, I'll do my very best to answer them, and I know that we're going to get to a period of time here where you can call it in.
Yep, absolutely, and we thank you for coming on and all your work with Hamvention and all your volunteer staff and your volunteer hours to make all that happen. Well, we're about 3 months out, and we knew, the first year was a little bit of a learning curve, and there were some changes that need to be made, and we had you on in July to talk about that a little bit. So bring us up to date on how some of those projects are coming along for some of the improvements for this year.
Okay, we'll talk about the new building, because we worked hard with the county commissioners and the Expo Center folks, and it looked like, everything was going through with the new building, and we'd have it in time for Hamvention. And we heard that from, everybody. And when it came down to it, when they got the bids out and everything, they were not going to be able to get the building done before Hamvention 18, but it will be done for Hamvention 19. So we still are going to have some tents, or maybe just one big tent, and we're really, really sorry about that. I mean, we have every intention to have that done, so this will be our last year of that. Plus, we also got the fairgrounds furniture building, which is another, I think, 7,500 square feet, which is very significant. But that was probably one of the negatives, and the other one was got a lot of comments about mud, and even from people that weren't there are saying, I don't want to go there because it's so muddy, and that's what my friends told me. But we had a monstrous rain the night before that. I mean, monstrous, and I think we had 2 to 3 inches of rain, and that was hard to get all that drained out. And even though the flea market area is drained, we think we can improve it. So, I'll take a pause a minute, and if you want me to talk about that, I'll be glad to.
Yeah, sure. And I'd also like to hear a little bit more about the new building, like where it would be situated and how much space it'll be and kind of the style of the building. Because a lot of the buildings I've noticed are kind of long and narrow and very segmented. Is this going to be more of an open concept kind of building?
Well, I'm surprised that the 3 very large buildings are all open. I don't know if you recall that, but there are also on the sides, there are halls and there's different things there, but huge areas inside each one of those buildings. The Fairgrounds furniture appears that it will be all, an open building, much like it'll be bigger than, if you can remember, where Bob Heil's area was in that real nice building. It's going to be right next to that in the same complex, and it will be a nice open building. The new building will be actually a U-shaped building, and it'll be located right out, for those of you who have been there, and to give you a little bit of a visual, it'll be directly across from where the three main buildings are. You'll have, in the center point there is a flagpole, and then you had a lot of delicious vendor spaces, and then you had a little road that went by. But it's right in that complex, and it's going to be right in the whole complex area across from basically where the beer truck was.
Okay.
For those of you there, you probably know where that is. Does that help you at all?
Yeah.
And the total square footage, I can't recall it off the top of my head. I should have that number, but it matches, if not a little bit more, than the tent space that we had to use, the total tent space last year. And so by getting that Fairgrounds furniture building, which is part of, owned by the fair complex, the expo center, that significantly cut down on the amount of tent space that we need. So once again, I really regret. I mean, I got on and announced that, we're going to have the building. But I will say that as soon as we found out we couldn't get building supplies, we wanted to make it clearly known that, hey, we can't get this building before Hamvention this year. Now, we're not paying for the building, so we're a little bit more at the mercy of the county. And the county and the city people and township people are really behind us in trying to make this stuff happen. Does that help you a little bit? Oh, the
Sure.
new building will have heating. It'll have air conditioning. It'll have restrooms, running water in there, and it'll be a very nice building. They want to, they're upping their game there to have they call a world-class expo center. So, and they've left room that maybe a few years from now they put a second and a third building in there. So, very, very gratifying to work within a community that loves us and supports us and wants to help. So,
yeah, and then the other question came up was, will that construction start before Hamvention, or do you think that'll be after? Or?
I can tell you right now, we do not want it to start until after Hamvention, and we don't want all that, possibility of all that equipment and everything. It take up a lot of space, and it'd be a distraction. No, we're going to get that done. Start. I don't know exactly when they'll start. They have a county fair that'll come up sometime after that, and they'll start right after that. So it will not interfere at all with Hamvention.
Okay, so you're thinking probably after the fair, then after their two big events.
Right. There's still plenty of time then to get things going. So that's our plan, and that's their plan, and we totally like the idea. We don't want that construction going on the same time as Hamvention.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the Fairgrounds furniture building that was there, and they had cleared out some space for us to use that was kind of storage last year, and now that building's going to be available. And I know some people have been kind of concerned about are we the reason that they're leaving? And we hate to see, a long-time business go away because, we get together once a year. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, here's what I can tell you is that we at Hamvention never pressed to get that building. Are we glad to get it? Oh, my God, yes, we're thrilled to get it. But did we go to the Expo Center people and the powers that be there and say, you need to evict them? That's not our intention. There were other circumstances that I'm not even privy to, that I don't even want to know. But I will tell you that the Dayton Amateur Radio Association and Hamvention had absolutely nothing to do with trying to get this building, get them to leave. I live just south. I have a Xenia mailing address, but I live out in the countryside south of Xenia, and it's hard when we're getting blamed for something we didn't really have a part of. However, we do get the benefit of it, and I'm sorry to see them lose the business or get evicted. But at the same time, I guess I'm very happy for us. But we had absolutely nothing to do with that happening. And thanks for asking that question.
Yeah, and then let's go back to the mud. I know you said that you've got some plans to improve on that, and we kind of skipped back to the new building for a minute. So let's go back to the plans there on some of the drainage for some of the parking areas and flea market and that kind of thing. How that is coming along.
Okay. I'm sorry I skipped ahead, or a little bit before giving you an opportunity to ask me a question. So I'll be a little bit brief. The county engineer is, he's really a big supporter of Hamvention. He even has told me personally, whatever you guys need, just let me know. So we told him, and we really need help with this mud. And so the county engineer and his people are designing or have finished the design of, I don't think it's hard to do, but where the vehicles came down through, they're going to take up about 3 inches of the earth, and they're going to put these, I guess, called grindings, asphalt grindings down, roll them in. And my understanding is that, it doesn't take long for that to really be a nice, decent surface, but, it won't be, I don't know if you can skateboard on it, but it'll be definitely a nicer surface for vehicles to travel on. And we're going to start with the worst areas first, and we're hoping to get 100% done with it, but we might not, depending on the timing and the weather here. So that is all going to happen soon, and whenever they start that, I'll be going up there and taking pictures so I can prove to people, hey, this is really happening. So the other idea we had, it would have been, we thought maybe we could sell boots or something, right, as everybody went into the flea market.
Get a little extra money there to pay for that, to help pay for the expo center, right?
Yeah, they could be. We were thinking about Hamvention commemorative boots, and we were also thinking about selling some 2017 commemorative flea market mud at maybe $20.95 a jar, and we even we thought, man, if people even act now, they could get free shipping in too for the price of one, but we axed that idea.
Well, I like the boots idea. You could even put the little logo on there, the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, it was a tough year, and you got what we in our club. I mean, we kind of look at it. Well, so we take a slamming, we're going to keep on hamming, and that's sort of our slogan of what we do with our 600. Oh God, I hope I get it right. 657 volunteers, I think, that we have that work with us, and it's amazing to have that much dedication and passion for an event. And my job, I have a little bit of a job in producing all of this, but I have to thank all of our volunteers. And I want to say something about the Hamcation and folks up in Michigan are putting that on, Huntsville people, so many of these ham fests around the country, that I think it's really important that we all say thank you to whatever volunteers there. Just thank them, because they're not getting paid, and they're really doing it by the passion and love for amateur radio, and they're giving back. And if you've ever stood out there in that hot sun and directed traffic or whatever it is that you're doing for it, and taking a lot of grief about things, thank a volunteer. I want to get that in. Go ahead, Neil.
It takes a lot of volunteers to pull everything off, and we sure appreciate every last one of them. Well, we are going to take a break here in just a minute, but first, I do want to tell you about some changes that will be coming to Ham Talk Live and our Hamvention coverage. We, again, will preview many of the activities that will be going on in and around Hamvention during that weekend, during about 6 weeks leading up to the big event. And we will broadcast live again from the hotel there at Spring Hill Suites, Dayton, South Miamisburg, just down the road from the Dayton Mall, on Hamvention Eve, as we have the last 2 years. But this year we're changing the theme a little bit. We've been taking your calls and visits at the conference room there at Spring Hill Suites and kind of getting a feel for what you liked and what you were looking forward to at Hamvention. But we're going to change it up a little bit this year. We're going to give you all the information you need to make your Hamvention experience even better. So Ham Talk Live will have an exclusive Hamvention weather forecast, and that's going to come from Eric Elwell, KD4BNT, and he is the chief meteorologist at Storm Center 7 WHIO-TV right there in Dayton. And we're going to have a Dayton and surrounding area traffic report. We'll have up-to-the-minute information on parking, on-site parking, remote parking, and busing. And Michael's going to connect us up with some people on that. So we'll have the official word on parking right up to the last minute. And you'll be able to tune into that the night before Hamvention. And so you'll be well prepared for everything that we can possibly tell you ahead of time. We're going to do that right here on hamtalklive.com, and it'll be on the podcast too. So if you can't catch it right at 9 o'clock that night, you can catch it after that. And thanks for taking the time to set us up with some of the parking and traffic people so that we can get all of that going, Michael.
Well, yeah, I think it's a great service that you're going to offer, and it's going to be our first year of attempting that with you. But I do want to remind people that we will have a talk-in frequencies, and we will you will be able to do some off-site parking. And if I could speak a second about off-site parking,
sure.
The exciting thing that you'll be able to see all that on the website as it all continues to unfold. But these bus drivers that bring people in, they know all the back routes too. And it's interesting, a lot of these bus drivers I guess that, I don't know if they're actors or musicians or what, but I've been hearing stories of people singing on the buses and having a really great time on the buses. And then even though the traffic jam occurred on the Friday of Hamvention, I did hear there was a lot of fun people that were on, talking frequencies or whatever frequency they jumped on, and they actually had a pretty good time. I don't think everybody had a good time being in the traffic jam. And speaking of traffic jams, if you were there last year, you recognized that on the Friday morning, it was pretty tough. But we got with our sheriff and said, is there anything you could do to make this better? And so he and his deputies got together, and Saturday morning there was as many, if not more, people that came and didn't hear any complaints about traffic. They've really modified the flow on it. Plus, in the meantime, the Greene County Sheriff got his amateur radio license, so he's one of us now. So we're really excited.
There we go.
And there's 2 or 3 more of the county people that are, kind of twisting their arms. It's just got to be a big thing for the area. You better get your license, and you'll really be part of it. So with that traffic control and working on that, we think we got that one licked. Now, will there be problems? Yeah, of course there could be. And any big ham fest has some traffic problems. But I don't think that we're going to experience the traffic jam-ups we had last year. And I do want to thank the city of Xenia. Again, they have closed their schools in Xenia on the Friday of Hamvention just to cut down on, the traffic in the area. So we're very excited about that, too. How many ham fests have you been to where they closed the schools down for it. So, and we're also trying to work with a lot of those students to bring them in to the event and continue working with youth there. Go back to you for a minute there, Neil.
Yeah, that's all great stuff. And in fact, I had just looked that up again to see if they were doing that again, because I'm still looking for somebody to do the hammy costume. And so I was looking to see, and saw, sure enough, they're having a professional development day that day. So that'll cut down on a lot of the school traffic. Well, let's go ahead and take a break here, and when we come back, we can start taking some calls. We've got some tweets already as well, so we will do that right after this word from the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting right here on Ham Talk Live.
The National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting, located in Westchester, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, is only 2 minutes off I-75. The museum is the former home of the Voice of America Bethany Relay Station. Tours are now available every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see the control room, a 200,000-watt transmitter, and the most comprehensive collection of inventions by the iconic Powell Crosley Jr. Also on display is a huge antique radio exhibit and R.L. Drake's personal collection of most every Drake amateur rig ever made. This is a unique opportunity to see amateur radio in action and have a chance to get on the air from WC8 VOA. Admission is only $5 a person. The museum is located close to historic WLW-AM and tons of shopping and restaurants. Take a trip to the VOA Museum or visit us online at voamuseum.org.
Let's have an eyeball QSO in Dayton. You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp.
Join the conversation. Call us on voice with Skype at Ham Talk Live, or give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Now, here's more Ham Talk Live.
Voice of America Museum's next special event is an evening with Wayne Martin, held Saturday, March 3rd at 7:30 p.m. The event is in conjunction with an exhibit on Larry Smith Puppets, The Works, now on display at the museum. So be sure to check that out if you're in the Cincinnati area. And Ham Talk Live is on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here at hamtalklive.com. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And it's now time for your calls. If you have a question for Michael, you can give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Or you can Skype us. We're Ham Talk Live on Skype and also on Twitter. And we do have a tweet to talk about and a couple of comments here, but we do have our first call on the line. So good evening, Mark. Welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Good evening, Neil.
Yeah, this is Mark in for, is it BCN?
A BCD, Binary Coded Decimal, and I'm the chairman of the Huntsville Ham Fest.
Yeah, and I had a chance to talk to Mark here a few weeks ago, and we're looking forward to Mark being on the show. But Mark had some things to throw in here about Hamvention, so go ahead, Mark.
Well, okay, thanks, Neil, and good evening, Michael. It was great to run into you and spend some time with you and the contingent down there in Orlando. You and Ron Kramer and Jack and the rest of the crew that were down there. Learned a lot from you guys. And I heard you talking here on Neil's program about what you're going to do to address some of the issues from last year. But wanted to call in to suggest there's one thing you don't change, and that's the food service. Those vendors were absolutely great. The chicken noodle soup that I had one day for lunch, as good as Grandma's. That Ohio beef hamburger I had the next day was equally good. And so that's one thing you guys are really doing right up there. And, I guess one more thing. You mentioned moving the beer truck. I hope you don't move it too far. Over to you, Michael.
Hey, Mark, it's a pleasure to get to talk to you. And I'm going to take this opportunity, Neil, and tell you that, people are always comparing, Hamcation, Hamvention, Huntsville, Tokyo, Friedrichshafen. But, we all know each other, and we're all good friends, and we really work hard. If whatever Mark needs, he gives us advice. He asks us for advice, and same with the gang down in Orlando or Germany. And I'm telling you, it's a you might have, DX groups and contest groups, but we run these big ham fests, and we have to work together, because if they're successful and we're we want everybody to be successful, because it helps all the vendors. And never once is it us versus them. It is, we support Huntsville, we support Hamcation, great events, wonderful events, and we each provide something different. So I really want to make that clear. There's no, you're not going to get me upset or get me going about which is best, Hamcation or Hamvention or Huntsville or any of them, because they're all great. And even the general chairman, I wish I could recall his name, from the Michigan Speedway, we got to talk to him a little bit too. But we share a lot of ideas, and we learn from each other. Wouldn't you say that's true, Mark?
Absolutely. That's very well put, Michael. I don't think I could embellish on that at all. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you calling in with your support. And those of you who haven't been to Huntsville, it's a great event. It's growing, and it's now under. And Mark is working so hard to make this, we all love Charlie. I knew Charlie for years, and we'd share information. And then Mark came on, and he comes sheepishly up and says, "Hey, I'm Mark I'm the new guy down there at Huntsville," and he's totally accepted. And we're really glad that he's in there. He's a very smart guy, and pulling his team together. So, anyway, great, Mark.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys up in Dayton, and got a couple of other ham fests to visit around here. A couple of smaller events, Chattanooga, Dalton. Names probably not familiar to you, but you probably have a bunch of stuff, similar ham fests around your area throughout the year to visit. I'll be doing that in the next couple of weeks. Tullahoma, Tennessee. We've got several in the area, and it's always good to network and meet with these folks. But Michael, like I said, it's great to be a part of this organization down here, and the working relationship that we all have is extremely good. But like I said, your food up there, absolutely wonderful. Looking forward to another bowl of chicken noodle soup in late in May. So I don't want to steal your thunder tonight. So I'll just say good evening, and 73. We'll see you in a couple of months.
73 there, Mark. Thank you, man, for calling in, and we'll see you soon.
73, Mark.
Take care.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, Mark. Speaking of food here, the tweet that we were just talking about. I don't know if Mark was listening at that point or not. Maybe he was eavesdropping on us and we didn't know it. But Brian Love, KC9KUH, tweeted us earlier in the week and wants to know, Michael, are the pork chops coming back again this year? He said he'd love to have another Hamvention pork chop. So the answer is?
All right. The answer is, of course. And not only that, the Cattlemen's Association will be there. And a lot of this stuff comes right from the farm in Greene County, right to, to the butcher shop and then right there. So I've heard a lot of great things about the food. And he's right, that I can't remember the name of the company that does the homemade noodles and real mashed potatoes. I mean, that is so good. I ate really well when I was there. And but I want to add something else, is that we think we can improve this. And so we are bringing in, and we work with the people there, the fair people, the Expo Center. And we actually get last final say on who they're bringing in. And we told them, we need some more different kinds of food to come in there. So we're bringing in even more. We feel they're really going to be great choices for food. And then we are working on possibly getting the picnic tables that we have placed a little bit better, with a little bit more of them, around that bending areas, so people will be able to sit more. And I think that's an important thing at any big ham fest, or it is for us, is that people need a place to sit down and talk to their friends for a little bit, take a rest, take a break, and maybe enjoy some of that good food. And so we're going to try to have more shade and more picnic tables, and we're working hard on just improving that whole center layout. Does that help you, Annie? Neil, does that make you hungry?
Yep, it does. It does. And I remember the bourbon chicken and the grilled chicken wrap that I got, and they were both excellent. But Michael, the one thing that I asked you about, and you know, I don't know where the disconnect was, but the cheesecake on a stick thing. And here's Jill Combs. I already had this in the script, Jill. It wasn't. She's chatting in here in the chat room and saying, "Oh, I see how it is. The pork chops are more important than cheesecake on a stick." So Jill and I kind of teamed up on this, and at Ham Talk Live, we go the extra mile to investigate this cheesecake on a stick thing. So I found out what happened with the cheesecake on a stick. Now, the cheesecake on a stick was kind of a Dayton Hamvention tradition, but it kind of disappeared all of a sudden. And so I tracked it down, and it's at Libby's Gourmet Desserts in Cincinnati. They're the ones who made them. But what they did was they sold those to someone, and they got a couple of freezers, and they went up and sold those. So it wasn't them directly selling them, but I was able to pick up a couple of those, and they are the right ones and everything. It's Libby's Gourmet Desserts. And I said, can you come back and sell these? And he said, well, if we can find someone to sell them, we will be happy to provide them and sell them and work with them and deliver and get all of that going. And so if we can find somebody to sell those, we can bring the cheesecake on a stick back. But Jill, and by the way, Jill's KD8QGA, I had that written down here. She found out that the person who was selling it was a distant family member of the Wampler family that owned Hera Arena. So that's how it got there, was that, they were selling it. So now since it's moved, they didn't have, the inside connection. So can we do something on this cheesecake on a stick thing?
Neil, I am really moved and very impressed the fact that you could take the time to do this extremely deep dive into the history and basically the journey. It's like the Silk Road of cheesecake on a stick. So, and you've left me totally speechless, and you've left me with no way out other than to try to figure something out for you. So,
well, I guess if you got somebody wanting to make some money at Hamvention and wants to sell some, just all we got to do is give them the phone number and they'll talk to him. I even invited the guy on the show. He didn't want to come on the show, but I invited him on the show.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. So I didn't know you loved it that much. I mean, you must be very much a connoisseur.
The funny thing is, I only got it one time, but I always went by it. Wow. I always wanted it, but I'd always go buy it. And then one year, I finally said, "Okay, I got to try this," and it's pretty good stuff. So there we go. Right, we got it.
Burning up a lot of time on them. Things on stick.
I we are.
That, but I will honestly. I'll take a look. Got a lot of things cooking, but I don't have that cheesecake cooking yet. So, and since you have somebody, was it Jill, that's interested in it too? That I'll ask. I will do that much. I will see what I can do.
If there's somebody that wants to sell it, they will do it. And by the way, Jill will be out there on her golf cart all day Sunday, she says. volunteering
Okay,
to shuttle. We got another question here from Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD. Any new vendors or forum ideas for this year? Maybe something for Mac users on ham radio. Maybe that would be something. Any ideas there?
Was that call Kilo Zero MD or
Yes,
N0?
K0MD.
Okay. And what was his first name again?
That's Scott, Dr. Scott Wright.
Okay. Hey, Dr. Scott, and thanks for calling in on this, or I don't know how you got to, maybe you
Twitter.
chat roomed it in. Twittered in. Okay, Twittered on in.
Tweeted.
Anyway, we are working on forums right now. We don't have it finalized, but I just got we are actually going to have a fifth forum area. Instead of just 4, we're going to have 5. And one of the things that we're really looking at is our theme this year is based around emergency communications, amateur radio serving the community. And we thought that was very appropriate, due to the fact that we've had so many bad storms, fires, floods, typhoons, all kind of, and hurricanes all over the world. So we're going to be focusing on some of those things a lot more than we have in the past. I do like the idea for his topic, and Neil, if you could somehow send that to me in the end,
Sure.
I can take a look at that. But we haven't got everything finalized yet. We are looking for very good forums. Interesting people have interesting things to say. And by the way, my friend Fred Lloyd, who started QRZ, is coming this year, and I think it's his 20 or 25th anniversary of QRZ, and we're going to try to do some kind of a forum around what he's doing. He's a very delightful individual if you've never had a chance to listen to him.
Yeah. I've been trying to get him to come on here, so we'll keep trying. Well, we've got like 1 minute left.
Okay.
We've got 1 minute left. So
Is that 1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute. So
okay.
the awards deadline, you extended that. When's the new deadline for that if somebody wants to nominate?
Today. It's over. Today.
Oh, today. Okay.
Finished.
All right.
They
All right.
got
That's
to all
done.
be in.
Okay.
I want to say something really quickly.
Sure.
If you stay on hamvention.org. Check that website out regularly. If you have any personal questions in terms of questions you can't get answered anywhere else, I am good on QRZ, as I tell my friend Fred. But you can email that to me. But we certainly take the input. We take a lot of grief too. But we feel it's very important to be an important pillar for amateur radio. None of us get paid for it, and so Neil, I want to thank you again for having me on your program.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. We look forward to talking to you again in a few weeks as Hamvention draws near, but we thank you for the update of how things are coming along so far. But that is a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. Thanks to my guest, Michael Kalter, W8CI, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling and typing in. And invite you all back next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time when Andy Maluzzi, KK4LWR, will be here to talk about the Collegiate Amateur Radio Initiative, or CARI. And for a list of all of our upcoming guests, you can find that over at hamtalklive.com. Just click on the show schedule link. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.